This is Bryn Meekum with Kash Beauchamp for BoomerSooner.com. Kash, Oklahoma scored 3 points at Nebraska last week and 65 against Texas A&M this week in beating the Aggies 65-10. Why the huge point difference?
Well, Bryn, I think the main reason is that the Oklahoma Sooners are just an unbelievable team at home. And they are a different team at home than they are on the road. They've proved that pretty much the last 2 years when at home they own the nation's longest winning streak at 29 games. And they are just a different team at home. They're much more relaxed. I guess when you have 85,000 people behind you, it makes a big difference. And the other thing is their defense that they played against in Texas A&M is the 95th ranked defense in the country. Nebraska, unbelievable front line. Great matchup for Nebraska, their defensive line against our young and inexperienced offensive line, and that had a tremendous amount to do with it. And Oklahoma being young on offense right now and inexperienced, playing on the road is a difficult task to overcome sometimes. So home sweet home for Oklahoma. When you get them at home, they're a different ball club, and unfortunately they've got a tough chore ahead of them next week in Lubbock, Texas against Texas Tech.
Oklahoma became bowl eligible with their 6th win of the season. Why is that important for the Sooners?
Brent, it's very important for the Sooners because of the practice time that they're going to gain. As much as playing in a bowl itself, probably way more important than playing in the bowl itself. And of course, Oklahoma wants to win whatever bowl game they go to, which could be as good as the Cotton Bowl. It could be, hopefully not, but in Shreveport, Louisiana. But Oklahoma is bowl eligible, and they're so young and inexperienced on offense. The extra practice time, a lot of the penalties that the offensive line has had over the course of the year, that extra practice time will go a long way in solving those issues. So the practice time that Oklahoma gains by going to a bowl game is important to the program, especially from an offensive standpoint, where they are as far as developing. Oklahoma's almost a finished product on defense, but their offense is something that is a work in progress and is going to continue to be, and every hour of practice from now until opening day next year is going to be important for them.
Oklahoma's defense continues to shine. Why are they so far ahead of Oklahoma's offense?
Well, Brianna, I mean, Oklahoma's defense has everything that Oklahoma's offense doesn't have. They are extremely experienced. They're healthy. They've had a few injuries, and they're deep. Oklahoma's offense is very inexperienced, especially on the offensive line, which I think we're finding out this year how important an offensive line really is in college football and professional football and football overall. The offensive line is the ignition to the car, and a good offensive line allows a team to do the things simply that they want to do. Health-wise, the offensive line and the offense have been totally beat up this year. Oklahoma's remained relatively healthy, and they have experience. Even though you have younger players like Travis Lewis, I mean, he started as a freshman. Ryan Reynolds has been around. Gerald McCoy, Jeremy Beal, you go on and on. Oklahoma's defense is just outstanding, and the great thing about the Texas A&M game and Oklahoma blowing them out, you got a chance to see a little bit of the future for the Sooners, and Jamarcus McFarland, who is a tremendously high recruit, and R.J. Washington, defensive end and defensive tackle. Those two guys showed their tremendous athletic ability, and the future still looks bright for the Oklahoma defense. Oklahoma's offense, a young quarterback that is learning on the job. You've got a young, beat-up, shuffled offensive line. And probably the one thing that people need to realize about this Sooner club is even with Sam Bradford and Jermaine Gresham healthy, they were probably overrated going into the season just because of the offensive line. And they weren't going to have the kind of offensive success that they had last year because Oklahoma simply had the best offensive line in school history.
What do you feel is the state of the Sooners at this point in the season?
Well, Bryn, the Sooners defensively are national championship caliber. You know, you have your defensive side of the ball and you have your offensive side of the ball, and they're polar opposites right now. And it's no fault of the coaches. As a former professional coach, I've coached baseball coach. I've coached championship teams, and I've coached teams that really struggled. And the little things, I didn't coach any different. These coaches aren't coaching any different than than they did when they went to the national championship game last year. They're the same coaches. Things happen with players that really can make a difference. So I think their biggest challenge is developing the offense, keeping the defense where it's at, and getting healthy. It's hard to develop when players can't get on the practice field. And we're talking about from an offensive line standpoint. You look at Oklahoma's backfield, and this is something I hope a lot of people realize, is that Chris Brown and DeMarco Murray have not put up numbers like they have in the past, but that doesn't mean that they're not as good as they have been in the past, if not better. They are almost doing things on their own. DeMarco Murray's game yesterday against Texas A&M was phenomenal, and I'm sure people that understand the game, NFL scouts, are gonna see games like that, realizing that Oklahoma doesn't have the power offensive line that they had last year, where half those guys are playing on Sunday and starting on Sunday today. That those two players are still NFL caliber. The OU receivers, they've got to gain experience. They've got to gain confidence. Confidence, concentration, relaxation, extremely important in every sport. And once the OU receivers get that confidence and they're able to relax, they're going to make more catches and have less drops. It's not like they're not talented. They're all fast. They all have size. They all run great routes. Quarterback at OU, Leonard Jones, the sky's the limit. He has shown flashes of being as good as anybody in the country, and he's shown signs of immaturity. He's had a 6-touchdown game. He's had a 5-interception game. And that's what you get with the redshirt freshman, learning on the job, forced into a situation that he wasn't ready for. You know, the state of the Sooners right now, Brent, I'd have to say one of the most important things, finding a field goal kicker. And you know, Oklahoma went to their third option yesterday. An interesting story, Patrick O'Hara, walk-on. And I got to give it to Fox Sports. They showed O'Hara kicking a 63-yard field goal before the game. And the next thing you know, he's in the game after Tress Way missed another field goal and Jimmy Stevens missed another point after touchdown, extra point attempt. And maybe this Patrick O'Hara is the guy that can give Oklahoma some stability in the kicking game. And when you struggle on offense and you have a great defense, your kicking game and the ability to score points when you get the chance is unbelievably huge. Oklahoma has got, and one of their biggest priorities offensively has got to get a consistent field goal kicker. And, you know, Oklahoma's going to use the bowl practice time to get better. And used to some teams, like if Oklahoma in the past, I remember Barry Switzer turning down a bowl invitation one year because they didn't feel like they were up to their achievement levels, and they turned down a bowl situation. I don't see that happening in this day and age in college football, especially with this team, where the practices, the extra practices, are going to be huge for this program.
This is Bryn Meekum and Kash Beauchamp, brought to you by BoomerSooner.com, your #1 Sooner sports fan site.